Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM, brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this January the 9th, and I hope again this is youth deer hunting weekend in Tennessee, and I know if you're listening, you're late, okay, on the way to the deer stand, but it'll close out the deer season tomorrow. And it's always those final 2 days for our youth in Tennessee. And, of course, you recognize that laugh in the background. I mean, I think when Ron Wong was born, he was laughing. You know, I just...
Yes, you know, that's the way to look at life for everybody.
Ron said that.
Forget about any kind of drama and just look forward to making the day as happy and as good as you can.
And I know
that's in your control.
Yes.
And so do that kind of stuff.
Well, that's why Ron has won so many awards for his charity work and everything else, and that's why he's a co-host of this show twice a month. And Bonus Wong will be back in 2 weeks. But hey, we talked a little bit earlier in the show. If you missed it, go to lroutdoors.com. We'll have all the show segments posted later today. Brad Fuller was on. He's one of the founding partners for the National Professional Fishing League. And we're going to talk a little bit now on this segment. It's going to kind of, don't think you're tuning in wrong and you hear Kevin Rogers talking about bass fishing. I know you folks out there, you know him from his crappie fishing days and with his daddy Charlie and everything else. But Kevin has decided this year to do something a little bit different. So we're going to let Kevin tell us that. And first of all, good morning, Kevin.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Nothing I love more than talking about fishing, so I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Well, nothing Ron Wong enjoys more than letting me listen as people talk about fishing. So tell us, Kevin, I know the background, crappie fishing, and then now the National Professional Fishing League. You've made that decision to fish in all the tournaments. Talk about your decision.
Yeah, so for the last 30 years, I've been chasing crappie tournaments all over the country with my dad, and he's now up into his late 70s.
Bless his heart, yeah.
With that and the invention of the live scope, you're fishing for one fish at a time now, where before we didn't know where the fish lived, so there was still an approach to where, we are literally fishing for one fish at a time, and at 77 years old, he doesn't need to stand there and watch me crappie fish.
You hear that, Ron? That's my age. That's my age, Kevin. So you're talking to me now, Kevin. See, I hope all my friends are listening. Kevin Rogers is talking about Larry Ray right now, 77. And doesn't need to stand up there and take a beating. So go ahead, Kevin.
Right. So, I mean, he still fishes 3 days a week, but he's doing it sitting down in his aluminum boat. So our tournament days have come to an end on the tournament trail. My whole life, I am a number one bass fan. I watch, live, and breathe everything bass fishing. I always have, even through all these. I mean, we've won 33 crappie tournaments in 5 different states.
Wow.
And the whole time, and the whole time I was wishing I was fishing the Bassmasters Elite Series.
Yes.
I crappie fish for my dad. I love it. I'll never quit doing it. I'm never quit teaching people how to crappie fish. I think my approach to teaching people how to crappie fish, I have people begging me to start a YouTube channel. I had over 500 people on my Facebook page this year request that I start a YouTube channel just to show techniques and tips, and I did that for them. I'm never going to stop that. I am going to stop tournament crappie fishing, and I'm going to focus on my lifelong dream to be a professional bass fisherman. And when the opportunity came around with Brad Fuller and these guys with the league, the National Professional Fishing League, I jumped all over it. I got a little bit back into the bass fishing shape this year by fishing the SLW Toyota Series in the Plains Division. I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to prove, but I am wound up and I am ready to go, and I cannot wait to kick this thing off at Eufaula, Alabama.
Well, Kevin, you know, if somebody wants to follow you and to learn about crappie fishing, you also have a YouTube channel that they can go to also. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the request I got from all these great fine folks. I've got Kevin Rogers Fishing on Facebook where I'll post most of the stuff. But for years I had a YouTube channel through Bobby Garland. They were my title sponsor. So I ran their YouTube for several years with huge success. And they got bought out by Pradco, and we separated ways, so that I'm no longer associated with that. When that went away is when the people really reached out to me and said, hey, we still want your tips and techniques for crappie fishing. And I started Kevin Rogers Fishing on YouTube, and I'm gonna turn that up so these folks can still learn about crappie fishing.
And again, we're talking to Kevin Rogers. You folks know Kevin from his crappie days, but he's now going to fish in all of the National Professional Fishing Leagues. And I was looking it up, Kevin, and 26,832 people like your Facebook page. Well, that's
awesome.
Yeah, that's 26,000 more than I. Okay, but I mean, I know it's not, but that's pretty impressive like that. But I got to ask you, as I told you before we went on the show, and I think it's a great story, and you've probably told it wherever you go, about your first tournament as a crappie fisherman with your dad. What happened?
Yeah, I was actually 8 years old.
8 years old. You hear that, Ron? 8 years old.
I was 8 years old. I'm actually 48 now, so that was 40 years ago.
Oh, right.
And we didn't even own a boat. We didn't rent a boat.
Yeah.
We rented a boat with a 9.9, and we drove to the first bridge pier we saw and tied up in about 20-mile-an-hour wind. And we sat on a bridge pier for about 8 hours in 2-foot swells, and I threw up over the side of the boat, and that's all I remember about my first tournament.
Folks, I know it's breakfast time for many of
what
you,
a
but
story!
I had to get Kevin.
Great story.
I had to get Kevin in that, and I think you said you finished 4th place in that first one, and
we did.
But you've always been a huge bass guy, and I think this had to be a decision. It was just, I guess it was time. You say you're 48. Was this the time to do this?
Well, so in the early 90s, when I was still fishing the crappie tournaments, I'd fish what used to be called the Bass Top 100 before the Elite Series. I fished those as an amateur back in the early 90s and got to fish with some amazing fishermen. And the whole time my dad is trying to drag me. As soon as I graduated high school, I knew I was going to be the next Kevin Van Dam, and my dad was dragging me over to this crappie side. And the first one we fished, we finished 4th. We got some money, and like three tournaments later, we win a Crappie USA event. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll go crappie fishing. So I wasn't, mentally when you're that young, I wasn't mature enough. I didn't have the means to go bass fishing. Now that my kids are mostly grown out of the house, and I have the financial stability that I have, I can finally go bass fish. I'm a little late in coming up. You usually don't start your bass fishing career when you're 48 years old, but here I am.
Hey, man, you're half of Kevin Van Dam. You're Kevin Rogers. You got to look at it like that. You got the same, we're going to know KR from now on. Everybody remember that now. It's going to happen. So what about fishing this first one? Will it be goosebumps, or are you ready for Eufaula? What's your feeling?
I'll be ready. That's one thing. I've fished so many tournaments. And tournament fishing is fishing, right? Now, to me, fishing doesn't matter if you're cat fishing on the river or walleye fishing or bass fishing. It's still fishing. So there's a lot that translates over to the bass side that I already did on the crappie side. My career as a crappie fisherman, I was known as a run and gun, go as fast as you can, and that's how I win. So that kind of translates over to the bass fishing for sure. It's not going to scare me. I'm not going to care who I'm fishing against. All I know is I'm fishing against those fish and myself, and that's it. So I won't be nervous at all. I'll be ready and excited to go prove myself.
Do you like the setup for the new league?
I think it's amazing. I think what this is going to do is there's a lot of guys out there, working class guys, that had the opportunity to fish the Elite or even the I think the Tackle Warehouse FLW side. I think this is just another league for people that are fans of bass fishing to learn some new anglers that they probably never heard of before that are amazing anglers. So now I'm not putting myself in that category yet, but there's a lot of good fishermen out there. A lot of people don't know, and this is going to allow those anglers to be seen and heard.
Well, Ron, you've known Kevin. You've seen him operate in crappie tournaments. All we're doing is switching gear, and that just means that Kevin will be having a garage sale at his home in 2 weeks.
No, he won't. No, he won't.
And
I have to tell you,
for
somebody that has experience being in the boat with Kevin and his dad, Charlie.
Yeah.
What a joy to watch them work, how focused they are, how pleasant to be around. And I just know Kevin, I know he's been practicing this bass fishing all throughout the fall and winter to get ready to do his very best in the National Professional Fishing League. And Kevin, I know you'll do well, especially with the latest technology and how well you use the technology.
Yeah,
it should take you a long way.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Now I'm not young like these, but I'm still, I knew the technology because of the crappie side. So I've been spending every waking moment I have, free moment, at Table Rock Lake, looking at these bass in 70 to 50 foot of water. So when it comes time, I know how to catch these bass on the live scope. I can catch crappie all day long on live scope. I've been taking all winter to learn how to catch those bass on the live scope, because that, not every term is going to come into play, but it is definitely the future, and it's only going to get better.
Well, we got to get on out of here. Kevin, so how can folks keep up with you? Tell them again, that Facebook and YouTube, how do they get in touch, watch you?
Yeah, Kevin Rogers Fishing on Facebook and Kevin Rogers Fishing on YouTube. And I really appreciate you guys having me on the show. I appreciate it.
We'd love to have you, buddy, and good luck on March the 11th through the 13th at Eufaula. And I know that Ron will be seeing you on some of these tournaments. He's already looked at the one that counts. You better come to that one from Kansas City, okay? So we want you there.
I'm going to take you out to eat there.
Oh,
I know a good restaurant.
Oh,
there you go.
You're ahead of me already, and I've been knowing Ron for 30 years. All right, buddy. Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day, okay? All right, let's take a peek on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.